Dr. Silverstein is a legend in the field of otolaryngology. He is an esteemed leader, researcher, mentor, and philanthropist. And we couldn't be prouder that Dr. Silverstein's incredible career started right here at Mass Eye and Ear as a resident in the class of 1966, followed by 3 years on our faculty. As you will hear from Dr. Mark Vivaris in a few minutes, Dr. Silverstein eventually moved to Sarasota, Florida, where he founded the Silverstein Institute and dedicated 50 years to delivering exceptional patient care, leading research, and training generations of otology fellows. Dr. Silverstein, we are so appreciative of your exceptional generosity that will support the work of Dr. Julie Ehrenberg and future generations of hearing clinicians and researchers. We are honored to have an endowed chair that bears your name at Mass Eye and Ear. Thank you. And now to Julie. Wow, you are so impressive. And that's not just because your dad told me to say that. In addition to being a scientist in the Eaton Peabody Lab, with 3 R01s, I might add, you are a tremendous leader as the Director of Audiology Research and Education for Mass Eye and Ear. Since joining us in 2019, you have earned tremendous respect from your colleagues. Your research improving cochlear implants will enhance the lives of many patients, and we know this chair will help you advance this important work. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. And we are so excited for the future at Mass Eye and Ear. Gifts like the one we celebrate tonight will help accelerate the work of Julie and her colleagues who are advancing hearing research to provide better treatments for our patients. In a few minutes, you'll get to hear from Dr. Julie Ehrenberg herself about what this chair means to her. But first, please join in welcoming Dr. Mark Vivaris.
Thanks, Carol Ann, and good evening, everybody. It is a real honor to introduce Dr. Silverstein and welcome his family, friends, and colleagues to this very special evening. I first learned about Dr. Silverstein earlier in my career, mostly through the fond recollections of our great, late, dear friend, Bill Montgomery. I then had the pleasure of really getting to know him on a more personal level during our department's 200th anniversary celebrations in 2024. When he served as an honorary chair and distinguished speaker. His thoughtful leadership and unwavering dedication to our institution and the department was an important contribution to the tremendous success of the reunion. Like most of us here tonight, I've long respected Herb for his incredible contributions to the field of otology and neurotology. He is internationally regarded as a leading authority on Meniere's disease, having received many, many honors highlighting his many contributions, including the Prosper Meniere Society prestigious Gold Medal Honor Award in 1996. In 2018, he delivered the 7th House Memorial Lecture at our National Academy meeting and was awarded the Academy's Presidential Citation in 2002. He's also received a Lifetime Achievement Award from Sarasota Memorial Hospital, which he received in 2022. For background, Herb attended Dickinson College, graduating cum laude. He then attended medical school at Temple, where he received his MD degree, and where he spent additional time completing a master's in physiology. After 2 years as a young intern and surgical house officer in Philadelphia, he came to Mass Eye and Ear for his otolaryngology residency, which he finished in 1966. Following residency, he spent 2 years as a captain in the U.S. Army Medical Corps as a staff otolaryngologist at Tripler General Hospital in Honolulu. Herb then returned to Boston as an instructor at Harvard Medical School and member of the Mass Eye and Ear staff, before moving back to Philadelphia for 2 years, where he was faculty at Penn and actually even served as interim chair there for 1 year. In 1974, he headed south to Florida for faculty positions, first at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and then the University of South Florida until 1983, when he founded the Ear Research Foundation, where he has subsequently spent the majority of his career. Dr. Silverstein is the president and founder of the Ear Research Foundation and Silverstein Institute in Sarasota, Florida. Through this foundation and the Institute, Herb has supported and conducted research, has trained 50 fellows over the last 50 years, and holds regular educational seminars and provides hearing screenings for children in the area on a monthly basis. Dr. Silverstein has been an incredible innovator and has been credited with developing many novel approaches, including an approach to vestibular neurectomy to relieve vertigo and preserve hearing in patients with Meniere's disease, developing the laser stamp stapedidomy minus prosthesis for otosclerosis, the Silverstein micro-wick to deliver drugs to the inner ear for the treatment of Meniere's disease, tinnitus, and sudden deafness, and developing the round and oval window reinforcement to relieve the symptoms of hyperacusis and noise intolerance. Herb has been incredibly productive in scholarship for the entirety of his career. He published his first paper in 1962 and remains active in writing and publishing today. He has made significant contributions in a number of areas, including the physiology of inner ear fluids, multiple areas of vestibular disease, treatment and function, the management of acoustic neuroma, diseases of the middle ear, and most recently, again, the management of hyperacusis. He has in total published over 250 publications on these and other topics. In addition to his clinical excellence, Herb has been passionate in his commitment to teaching and mentoring, as evidenced by training 50 fellows over 50 years. Education is one of the hallmarks of Mass Eye and Ear's mission, and his career truly exemplifies that. Over the last 40 years, Dr. Silverstein has proudly shared his knowledge and expertise with medical students, residents, and fellows as a member of the teaching staff of Mass Eye and Ear, the University of Pennsylvania, and his Ear Research Foundation, ensuring that future generations of clinicians and scientists have access to learn from his groundbreaking discoveries. But perhaps most impressive is that in his spare time, Herb is an accomplished jazz pianist, having written 73 original tunes and producing 17 albums. Herb has been generous in his support of young faculty and investigators. In 2000, he established the biannual Young Investigator Award of the American Academy of Otolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery, and the American Neurotology Society. In 2001, he established the Herb Silverstein Young Investigator Award for research at Mass Eye and Ear and Harvard Medical School. And in 2023, he established the Silverstein Research Excellence Award of the American Neurotology Society. This chair celebrates Herb's exceptional generosity and commitment to Mass Eye and Ear. His gift to endow the Herbert Silverstein Chair in Otology and Neurotology will enable talented researchers like tonight's incumbent, Julie Ehrenberg, to have the resources to advance their work that will help improve the quality of life for people with severe hearing loss. Herb, we're so grateful. I want to acknowledge Herb's great friend for over 60 years, Dr. Gene Myers. We all know Gene as another of our distinguished alumni and luminaries of our specialty. Being the good friends that they are, and so dedicated to the institution, our institution, and our mission, they simultaneously reached out to us to create their respective endowed chairs. We had the opportunity to celebrate the Myers Chair last spring. We could not be more grateful to both of you. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Herb Silverstein to say a few words. Herb.
When Gene had his celebration, he took his talk like this and then tore it up because Mark gave all the information in the talk. Well, I can't do that, but a lot of it's the same that you just heard, but a few things will be a little different. Thank you, Dr. Barberis, for your kind remarks. And thank you, Gene Myers, for being my mentor, friend, and getting me started on the right track for an exciting, rewarding career. Thank you, Tom Klein, for being one of my first teachers at Mass Ioneer. I would also like to thank Seth Rosenberg, my sixth fellow, who has been with my partner and friend for 33 years in practice. Also, thank you, David, for being a devoted son, and thanks to Daniel and Michael, my grandsons, who will help celebrate this special event. So why do I feel love for Mass Ioneer? I think it's normal to have love for something that changes your life in a positive way. I grew up in a medical family. My father was a neuropsychiatrist who was interested in medical research. And he took me on rounds when I was only 10 years old. And as a child, he told me, "Son, you're going to be a great neurosurgeon." And he had me signed up for a residency in neurosurgery at Temple University Medical School. But during my internship at Philadelphia General Hospital, I was up many nights assisting neurosurgical cases, and my ward consisted of many gorked out patients with nasogastric tubes and tracheostomy tubes. And the patients yelling, "Take away the pipe." I decided that neurosurgery was not for me. My father was devastated, but he forgave me later when he found out that I was training at Harvard and doing neurosurgical procedures through the ear. In medical school, I was doing research to obtain a master's degree in physiology, studying the cortical influence on the vestibular system in cats. Amazingly, the recipient for the HS chair, Julie Ehrenberg, is doing similar type of research, studying the cochlear implant and the brain. So while working in the lab as a medical student, visiting ENT docs said I should think about going into ENT, a field that needed basic research. I was fascinated by the operating microscope and ear surgery done by David Myers, Gene's father, and I decided to sign up for his residency. So Gene was a resident at Mass Ioneer Infirmary, and he called me when he found out what I was doing. And he said, "Mass Ioneer is the best place to train in the country for otolaryngology. Why don't you go here? The best place to train." So not thinking for a minute that I would be accepted, this idea was reinforced when I got lost driving around Boston for an hour and a half before my interview with Dr. Shuknek. Dr. Shuknek wasn't too pleased with my tardiness, but fortunately we had research using cats in common, and the interview went well, and he accepted me for residency. He said, "Herbie," and he always called me Herbie, "I want you to become an expert in Meniere's disease." And he gave me a lab to study the composition of the inner ear fluids, which he said had something to do with Meniere's disease. He gave me a technician and a fellow and startup money. And then he sent me to Germany for 3 weeks to learn from Sigurd Rauch, who had a lab to analyze inner ear fluids. So I had 2 full-time jobs here, clinical and research. I became one of his favorites, which made me work even harder, many times till 10 and 11 o'clock. While in residency, I was very productive. With Roger Lindemann, we developed the Arrow tube for chronic serous otitis media. It was one of the first tubes used for that disease. And I developed the transcanal spat tube that went through the ear canal bone for long-term middle aeration that we still use today. I also developed an anesthetic for the tympanic membrane that we still use. And then we developed this procedure called diagnostic labyrinthotomy to help diagnose acoustic neuromas. We took Perilinth with a pipette through a small hole in the footplate. If the protein content was high, then an acoustic neuroma was probably present. We didn't have CT or MRI yet. So I wrote a book comparing the human and cat temporal bone anatomy and wrote many scientific publications. Mass Ioneer trained me to be an academic physician after residency. After residency, I joined Gene Myers at University of Pennsylvania for 3 years. I love teaching and research and making contributions to our field. When Gene went to Pittsburgh to become chairman, I decided not to follow him and to retire in Florida. Fortunately, my retirement only lasted 3 months. I started the Ear Research Foundation, whose mission was research, education, and community service, and the Silverstein Institute, which now has 16 docs in a 30,000 square foot building. Our fellowship now has trained 51 fellows in neurotology and otology. I was obsessed with finding better ways to doing procedures and treatments. My latest innovation was developing a minor surgical procedure to relieve hyperacusis. We are now a center for surgical treatment of hyperacusis. I owe my career to Mass Eye and Ear and the training I received here. This is why I love Mass Eye and Ear. I always felt that a doctor should give back to what was given to him. The Mass Eye and Ear was always at the forefront of research and development. In that vein, I established the Young Investigator Award at Mass Eye and Ear as a thank you to Dr. Schuckneck for giving me the funds to start the lab and do research. Also, establishing the chair in otology and neurotology will help research in our field. And Julie Ehrenberg, with her research in cochlear implants and the brain, is a perfect person for this honor. Her father, Irv Ehrenberg, is a famous otologist and a friend who is an expert in Meniere's disease. I've had a very fortunate career and enjoyed every minute. I never felt it was work, but like it was an honor and a privilege to improve our specialty and to help people improve the quality of their lives. Thank you, Mass Eye and Ear.
Herb, as a token of our appreciation, please accept this engraved bowl commemorating the Herbert Silverstein Chair in Otology and Neurotology. Our next speaker is a longtime friend and mentor of Julie Ehrenberg. Dr. John Middlebrooks has traveled from the University of California, Irvine, where he is a neuroscientist and professor of otolaryngology. Please join me in welcoming him to say a few words about Julie's impressive work.
So Julie Ehrenberg walked into my lab. It's kind of like two guys walk into a bar, but Julie walked into my lab, into my office about 30 years ago. She was a newish graduate student. I had just moved to Michigan about a year prior to that. Julie had done a research rotation with Brian Finkst, who is a leader in research in otolaryngology, and she learned a lot about cochlear implants. She learned that guinea pigs bite. I think that had something to do with why she was down in my lab. Anyhow, I had a bit of a career before I met Julie, and had learned some things about how the brain responds to sounds. And when I moved to Michigan, I thought, well, if I want to play with these guys, I ought to learn about cochlear implants. So we'll see how the brain responds to cochlear implant stimulation. And I was fairly ignorant about cochlear implants at the start, but that didn't hold us back. So Julie and I sat down and hatched a plan for a project for her, and it turned out remarkably well. So she went back upstairs to Brian Fink's lab, and he told her what the key issues were in implant world, and we talked about it, and that sounded good. And she did some wonderful experiments in animals, recording from the brain and stimulating with cochlear implants. At that time, one of the things we did was what we call now tripolar stimulation or focused stimulation, which is a way of increasing the precision of stimulation of the auditory nerve. And we demonstrated that pretty nicely in these poor guinea pigs. So now she's got human subjects, or patients, I guess you'd call them, to do the same thing. And so that's been a thread throughout her 30 years so far. She was very successful in my lab. To do this science thing, you have to have a good brain, and she has an excellent one. Another thing, though, with Julie is she's excellent at picking other people's brains. So at the time, I had 4 really good postdocs in the laboratory, and we were sort of a coffee drinking culture. And she had the good sense to position her workstation right next to the coffee pot. So guys would come around and, check out the status of the coffee machine, and then she'd say, "Oh, come here, Chris. Look at this here. What do I do with that? And how do I do?" So she learned an awful lot from the coffee culture there. Anyhow, she left my lab with 4 really nice publications under her arm and a vow that she was no longer going to do animal research. She went directly from my lab to University of California. So this was all at Michigan. She went to University of California in San Francisco on an NIH-funded postdoc. She was going to work in the laboratory of Russ Snyder and Pat Leake, and these are really leaders in research on cochlear implants, but it was all animal research. Julie was totally undaunted. She got there, she set up her own human psychophysical research program. They gave her a little space, she found some equipment, she started recruiting subjects, and she started a human psychophysical program there. I guess that left her a lot of spare time, so she went over to Cal State San Francisco State is what we call it now. Anyhow, and got a master's degree in audiology. This is all while she's doing this postdoc at UCSF, and then did a clinical fellowship year at Stanford. 2005 was a really good time to be an audiologist with a PhD, because the Doctor of Audiology degree, the AUD degree, was just kind of being invented, and departments wanted to offer that, but they needed a doctoral level person to teach it, and there just were not a lot of AUDs around. But here's Julie's a PhD. She's doctor enough for anyone, and had all of her audiology credentials. So there she was. So she got a job at University of Washington in Seattle. She was there for about 15 years, rose through the ranks from assistant professor up to full professor, NIH funded all the time. She became their director of audiology and director of their AUD program. During that time, she just got the itch to do more animal research, so she called me one time, and I went over there, and we spent a summer doing animal research. She just, there's certain things you just would like to do in a guinea pig, I guess. Let's see, during that time, she also did a nice sabbatical at Cambridge University. That would be the other Cambridge on the right side of the pond, with Bob Carlion and his very strong psychophysical group. I've been working with Bob recently, and they've not recovered from Julie, I can say. So she's on everyone's mind there. Anyhow, throughout this, she's been a leader in the field. She's pursued this notion of focusing stimulation, and now she's getting that, so it is a really practical thing to do. And Harvard, so she came to Harvard in 2019, and eventually became director of research and education in audiology, has started an AUD program, and now she's recruiting the 3rd cohort of AUD students. So I guess that's going pretty well. Whoa, the corks are popping. So about 30 years, for 30 years, I have been carrying on my cochlear implant project that started in my office with Julie Ehrenberg, and I just retired a few years ago, or a month ago, actually. Julie has been carrying that work on for 30 years, and now here she is with the Herbert Silverstein chair, and more power to her. So we'll see what she does.
This is more than overwhelming. I can't even say how grateful I am to Herb Silverstein for putting together this endowment and for being named the first chair. Thank you, John, for coming all this way to introduce me here. I am so grateful for you taking a chance on me to work in your lab at the neuroscience program at the University of Michigan. I would be remiss if I didn't say go blue. That's right, go blue. You taught me how to do rigorous and solid science that has shaped my career. You believed in me through some a little bit challenging times, and then you've supported me and celebrated with me through the easier times since then. There are so many people to thank who helped and supported me throughout my career, 30 years. Sounds like a long time. But first and foremost, we would not be here tonight without the generous endowment from Dr. Herbert Silverstein. I hope that I can do your name proud. Not many people know this until tonight, probably, that I've known Herb Silverstein's name almost my whole life. And growing up, listening to my dad talking about his work and his colleagues and all these different ways to treat people with Meniere's disease and vertigo, and really trying to help people who are suffering from those diseases. And then when I joined the field, many of the neurotologists I know have trained with you and been mentored by you, and so I'm always hearing about you in my circles of the world, which are so small and lovely. You were a colleague and friend to my father, and so I'm so grateful and thrilled to be the incumbent Herbert Silverstein Chair of Otology, Neurotology, and this endowed chair will help to facilitate my research to hopefully improve the quality of life for people who have severe hearing loss and cochlear implantation. We're trying to develop new technologies and innovative approaches to how we stimulate cochlear implants. The endowment allows for potentially higher risk research and new directions that could help with pilot data to get more extramural funding. And right now, there's a lot of uncertainty with funding in the world, and so this will help ensure that my work can continue without interruption or delay. I want to give my parents a lot of credit here. As children, they told us that we could do anything we wanted. And all of you are sitting there like, yeah, my parents told me that too. But somehow my parents made us believe it. And they made us believe that they believed it. And I think this gave us a lot of courage to try and do all the amazing things that my brothers and I have been able to accomplish. I lost my mom a couple of years ago, but I know she would be really proud of me here today. My dad is here to celebrate. I hope many of you have had a chance to meet him. I am super thrilled that he could make the trip here and be here to celebrate. One of my brothers is here. My sisters-in-law are amazing. My nephews, one of whom is here. My niece are all incredibly supportive. Of course, I want to thank my son Nathan, who all of you have probably heard about ad nauseum because I talk about him all the time. He keeps me grounded and is very supportive. He puts up with my work and travel schedule that I'm sure is sometimes difficult, but he continues to be the light of my life. So, I'd also like to acknowledge my postdoc mentors who John mentioned, Drs. Russ Snyder and Pat Leake, who gave me the support and room to grow by enabling me to split my research time and do my clinical training in San Francisco. And those were some special times that began my path to becoming a clinician scientist. I'm here at Mass Eye and Ear in large part thanks to Dr. Kevin Frank, former director of audiology, and Dr. Brad Welling, former department chair, who created for me my dream job to be directing research and education in audiology at the best setting in the world. They built it, and so I came, and I haven't looked back, so thank you. I'm glad that you both could be here. It's amazing. I also would like to thank Carol Ann Williams and Dr. Mark Barveris for their unwavering commitment to championing research. When Dr. Varvaris became the department chair, he and I had a very memorable meeting, and he said to me, "What do you need to be successful in your position?" And I told him, and he gave me those things, and I've been supported ever since, and I'm really grateful for your support. A huge thanks to Melissa and Dana for their incredible development efforts, and thanks to Erin and her team for organizing this beautiful evening. I want to thank so many amazing trainees and collaborators. I started my mentoring with 3 incredible PhD students at the University of Washington, and now have expanded to mentoring students, postdocs, audiologists, and neurotology fellows here at Mass Eye, many of whom are here, and I'm so glad to see you all. Thank you for all the work you do. And I love working with these trainees here and others around the world who I get to collaborate with. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the 3 aspects of being at Mass Eye and Harvard that I think are fantastic and make it so I love going to work every day, almost every day. Most definitely the strong majority of the days. I love going to work. I'm always telling Nathan how much I love going to work. The first thing is my colleagues and collaborators, specifically Drs. Alicia Quinnell and Heidi Nakajima, Dr. Shelley Freed from MGH, who's also here tonight, and Boston Children's with Amanda Griffin, and her colleagues who are helping me expand my research to working more with babies and young children. The second reason I love going to work are the EPL investigator community there. Their wonderful lunch and dinner friends and more. And third but not least, the absolutely top-notch audiology clinic and clinicians, aptly led by Megan Reed, who is my closest colleague at Mass Eye. And finally, thanks to my friends and family, and importantly, my good friends, the Powerettes, who couldn't be here tonight, but we're always there for each other. Thank you again so much, Dr. Silverstein. I will do my best to honor your name in this endowed chair position. Thank you.
Julie, we are absolutely thrilled to install you as the first incumbent of the Herbert Silverstein Endowed Chair in Otology and Neurotology at Mass Eye. Congratulations. Well, thank you all for coming, and enjoy the rest of the reception. Have a great night. Thanks.